Great Nigerians, you're welcome to another edition of our program, Nigeria Today. I am glad you're there watching Living Television. Today is not going to be an exception. We're going to look at two topical issues as it concerns our country and the contest for this 2023 general election. As usual, in the studio will be our analyst. From my far left, I have Barrister Chukwemeka Nwoko. Barrister Chukwemeka Nwoko is a security consultant and a practicing lawyer here in Aba, also a public affairs analyst. Barrister, welcome to the program.
Thank you, moderator. Good day, viewers.
After him, I have Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi. Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi is a historian, a political affairs analyst, and also a public affairs analyst. Comrade, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. Such a privilege, and good viewers.
All right, first we are going to look at this. Obasanjo disparaging everyone who is supporting Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Ahead of the 2023 presidential elections that will be held on February 25th, former President Olusegun Obasanjo has disparaded all the supporters of all progressive Congress presidential candidate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu over the type of person they want to vote for the forthcoming elections. Obasanjo likened what is happening and those who want to vote Tinubu to what a man of God, or rather a pastor, said concerning those who want to vote and make sure that the man they want their children to vote, even the one they are voting, would be, that is who they want their children to be in the nearest future and so on. And in that story, Obasanjo said all hands started getting down. And that is when Obasanjo now said, you want to vote a man who you not want your children to be with, which means you're equally helping to bring Nigeria down. And that is Obasanjo for you, and saying that he is still standing firm in the support of Obi as a presidential candidate of his party. Though he has vowed not to go on a campaign with any person, but he's still supporting Obi. I want to start with you, Council. Looking at Obasanjo having been the president of this country, and most of these people who are contesting are the people that worked with him when he was the president of this country. And his insistence on Peter Obi, and even to an extent of paraging those who are supporting his supposed brother, in parentheses, Tinubu. What is your take on this?
Well, Obasanjo, no doubt, is a statesman. There is absolutely no doubt about that. Not just within the shores of Nigeria, but beyond West Africa, beyond Africa, and also the world at large. He is a figure that is internationally known, and till tomorrow, if he writes, people will catch cold. And when he talks, you have a similar situation also arising. But one thing is important to note, and that is that, like you and I, Obasanjo is entitled to one vote. There is no doubt that his opinion will influence some people. And then to that extent, yes, you begin now to put the statement he has made in proper perspective. Still going on that, he's entitled to that his opinion, irrespective of the number of people that will be swayed by it. The one I will not agree with him is to disparage people who hold their own view. Because under our constitution, people are entitled to their own belief, to their own views, and also to express it, but not to foist your own down the throat of others, or begin now to say that people who hold an opinion different from yours, that they are this, they are that. If you make a general statement and say, well, may your children turn out to be like the presidential candidate you are supporting, I don't see anything wrong with that. It's an okay statement, but when you begin to ridicule people and insult them because they hold an opinion different from yours, as a father, he ought to know that that one is not acceptable, that is not right.
All right, comrade, I also want to look at it from this angle. The Obasanjo started this disparaging when most of the people who raised their hands for voting Tinubu started bringing their hands down when the man of God said, whoever you want your children to vote for, that is how your children will turn out to be in the nearest future. And then their hands, started coming down. That was when Obasanjo came up with this. So, what is your analysis about this?
Before I go to my analysis, I would like to correct something. There was no specific mention of any candidate's name, so we can't say those who wanted to vote for Tinubu in the clip we saw. But the pastor or the bishop, as he is, said, "Do you want to vote?" They said yes.
So that's Obasanjo's assumption.
That's Obasanjo's assumption.
Yes.
Then
he was assuming wrongly.
Yes, he was assuming wrongly. I will say he's assuming wrongly because the pastor did not mention any candidate's name. Although maybe he can actually begin to his personal opinion now begins to maybe paint a scenario or try to connect the dots. That's to him personally. But let me say this with due respect to Obasanjo, he's a global icon. This is a man who had contested for the United Nations Secretary General position and lost to the illustrious Boutros Boutros-Ghali of Egypt in the early 90s. He's a global icon. I remember his activism during the apartheid. He was among the eminent persons group of the Commonwealth. You understand? Those who were talking hard and they were criticizing the apartheid system. He's a global icon, like I said earlier. After doing his 8 years, he assumed, in fact, he even assumed a bigger responsibility to play in the globe. He is entitled to his personal opinions. He has no right whatsoever to try to tell people not to support a particular kind of candidate or the other, even though he may have access to information some of us may not know about a particular candidate. You understand? He doesn't have the right still to tell people not to vote for this person or vote for that person. He can only tell us whom he is rooting for, and he has done that. It is welcome, it is appreciated. He is supporting Peter Obi, but in quote, not totally working for him. You understand? Because he's not there in the campaign trail, so to that extent, he may not be working for him. But then by writing that letter, he is also working for him. So it is half this and half that. But that said, I do not think Obasanjo has that right to tell other Nigerians not to do what, to support or root for a particular candidate, because the essence of having this candidate is the beauty of democracy, to serve people with the choice they may like. You understand? Plurality makes democracy beautiful. You can't say this particular candidate alone. We take all the vote. So then again, if we bring us to something, then the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu and then Peter Obi, we all know all these things. My own worry, my personal opinion is that there are allegations coming up about the person of Tinubu and even Atiku, to which they did not respond. But I recall that Peter Obi, after the allegation on offshore investment, the Panama paper, he was on television where he came with supporting documents and was grilled and he answered questions. In fact, he's been talking. So I'm also expecting other candidates to also do likewise. Then, if it is about the question of people not wanting to vote for a candidate who are not wanting not wanting the character of their children to be like the one of the candidate, yes, and it shows you the hypocrisy of the Nigerian masses or the Nigerian citizens. And I'm trying to say it. The problem we have is from us, that some persons vote wrongly. They purposely do it deliberately, you understand? Because of little pittance or maybe a mess of porridge. They want to keep the system, or they want to keep the rest of us down. And if you have seen that clip, you will see that the moment the priest said, I want to pray a prayer for you, if you let may the character of your children be like the character of the candidate you want to vote for, hands came down. Even one of the congregants now joined the middle finger and the thumb. Yes. And circled his head 3 times and now clicked. and that gesture, you know what?
I reject.
Yes, it's just a sign of rejection. So why would somebody who and this is happening inside the church? Inside the church. So it tells you that some Nigerians are Faustian in outlook, and they have sold their soul to the devil.
All right, Council, looking at this, don't you think maybe to them voting is just a payback time, without considering the quality and competence of the person involved by that action in the church?
No, not that voting is payback time, because they are not. No, rather.
How would you want to vote a person you wouldn't want to be like, or your children to be like?
That is not payback in terms of reward. No. But in terms of good, no. Even in terms of evil, no. Rather, their choice is now being influenced and instigated by some extraneous factors and considerations outside even what you're considering as payback. Certainly not.
We can't be sure of that.
No. You asked it as speculative. Yeah. And in answering, I am also constrained to confine my own answer to the restrictive, to the speculative equally. So I wouldn't agree with you, sir, that it is more like payback time. Rather, for them, they have things that
influences?
Yes, that are influencing them to go the way they are going. I would rather say greed. Okay. Greed and the two major legs on which almost every other evil in this society called Nigeria is standing. Number one, ethnicity. Another one, religion. If it is not ethnic, it is religious. These are the two main considerations, even behind corruption. When somebody has been singled out as having derailed, rather than allow that person to face the standard of society called trial, we engage in defending the indefensible.
Yes.
We begin to, change the narratives, shift the goalpost, simply because the man happens to be from, first we look at, is he a Christian, or a Muslim, or an atheist, or a traditionalist? It boils down to the fact that he's a Christian. Okay, is he from my denomination? Even when it comes down to denomination, is he from my parish? And things like that. Yes. So you find that people are motivated by all kinds of very stupid and silly consideration beyond the reasonable. But somebody describes Nigeria as a theater of the absurd, and that is actually what it is. So it's not just payback time that the man has done something nice for them. No, it's simply because of these two, and then probably what they stand to gain, what pecuniary interest. That is the third consideration. The first, ethnic; second, religious; third is the pecuniary consideration. And so you're willing to sacrifice the future of your children. You have no more future, no doubt, because you're already here. But we're not talking about even the future of your own generation. You're willing to sacrifice. It's like somebody every day is busy borrowing money and borrowing money. Nobody's thinking of how to pay it. And then the person borrowing it is close to 8, and then he's telling us that he's going to spread it in the next 40 years. By then, assuming his age, as he's telling us, is right. Remember, he has nothing to show that age. Assuming it is
120.
Yes, it means he will be 120. Well, at 120, how productive would this individual be to square off what he has incurred. That means the people, if you give birth to somebody today, in 40 years' time, that person would be old enough to be becoming the governor of a state, and angling closer to being the president. So look at the generations already mortgaged, their future mortgaged, and in fact, not just mortgaged, sacrificed.
Okay, comrade.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure you lend your voice to what Barrister said when he said Obasanjo has no right to tell people who to vote for.
Exactly.
And so on.
Yes.
And then considering...
No, I didn't say. He has the right to tell us to vote for a particular candidate or not, but he does not have the right to
persuade.
To castigate people for support for having a particular choice. Okay. That's where I would disagree with you.
Okay, right. When you were talking, you also talked about his right to asking people who to vote for and so on. And as a man who has been the president of this country, both in the military and in democracy, and that is the civilian rule, and who has also taken his time, let's assume he has taken his time to study these people who worked with him during his administration as Mr. President. And then, do you think there is anything wrong standing firm to say, because one of the presidential candidates of one party also visited him, and he told him plainly, I am standing in for Obi. And then, do you think he is making any mistake in saying Nigerians will make mistakes if you do not vote this?
You see, I want to begin this way. I have said before, Obasanjo worked with all these persons, and he said in his letter that they identified him as their mentor. They all identified him as their mentor, including Tinubu, including Peter Obi, and Atiku, who was his vice president from 1999 to 2007. So in one way or the other, Obasanjo mentored these persons. And then that having worked with all of them closely, he has that informed personal view.
Yes.
You understand? Now urging Nigerians to vote for Obi and not. If you had read Obasanjo's book, My Watch, you would see how he had no beautiful thing to say about Atiku. And if there was somebody Obasanjo should have supported, it ought to have been Atiku, who worked closely with him for 8 years. And we saw how the relationship stalled towards the end. We saw how the relationship stalled. But let me say this: Obasanjo does not have the right to force it on Nigerians. You understand? He has the right to say, "I'm supporting this person." He can only vote with his. He has only one thumb. You understand? To vote. Now, that is it. It stops there. But where I have.
Don't you liken Obasanjo's statement with the proverbial saying in Igbo, in some other parts of this country, that what an elder sees, while even if he is stupid, that a child that climbs an iroko tree may not see it.
Let us not also dismiss the fact that there are other elders supporting him.
Obasanjo is not
there are other elders. There are other elders in Nigeria. There are other elder statesmen supporting Tinubu. Some are supporting Atiku too. But I have to say this.
God is also an elder.
Yes.
Danjuma is an elder.
You see,
how many of them worked with all these ones?
There is something I have to say here. You see, Council talked about the pecuniary aspect of politics, but he didn't try to link it up with payback time, and that is where I see the link with payback time. You see, in Nigeria, we've not addressed the issue of poverty, and that is why you see that poverty is worse than pandemic. And the people who have institutionalized the poverty, who have created it, weaponize it. Ordinarily, every 4 years, they begin to sing the same tune. They begin to tell you this, and they begin to see there is that tendency for people to support Tinubu because he is coming from their region, because also he is coming from their religion, because also they believe that they have benefited from him in one way or the other, and owe him that loyalty, you understand, to support his project. Let me say it this way. I love what Council said. Now, if you situate the pastor's sermon in certain context, you will see that there are the demographics we looked into, which may not only now be limited to Tinubu. There happen to be a Yoruba land. That's number one. The western part of the country, meaning it is the place Tinubu looks to have his majority votes. You understand? It is his political base. But the people who were being admonished were Christians. This is also Obi's block too, mind you, and then other people's block. If you begin to project or to look at it further, you see that there are demographics involved there, not just one or two. That is what we have to understand. People who were being admonished were Christians, majority of whom are looking for Obi. Then, people who are also being admonished, the majority of them, we come from the West, Tinubu's own place too. So let us try to be objective in how we talk about this thing. So Obasanjo has every right to say, I'm voting for this person or I'm not voting for that for that person, just like all of us here do. But he doesn't have the right to force Nigerians, you understand, to vote for any other candidate.
Okay, before we go ahead, let us take this comment from the YouTube by JPAT. He said, Oga Obasanjo have the right to tell people to vote for the right person. When the APC begged him to support PMB in 2015, you people held him, and is Tinubu clear? I don't know what he meant by that. Then, why didn't they talk about G.O. Adeboye when he talked about them? Obasanjo has the right to tell Nigerians who to vote. That is Japan.
Yes, I said so.
Yeah.
He has the right to tell us, vote in this area. Every Nigerian citizen has that same right to say, vote for a particular person or don't vote for a particular person. That is not in doubt at all. What we are now disputing and quarreling with here is that he does not have the right to say, if you vote for so and so person, you are silly, you are stupid, you are this, you are that. That's to castigate people for having a choice. After all, he himself may also, in the opinion of some people, not have been the best that Nigeria had. At his own time, most Nigerians were rooting for Dr. Rufai. Yet he turned out, coming from the military bloc that was then midwifing democracy, against the popular wish of the people. Somehow he emerged, and today he is now the statesman. Yeah,
but you've compared him before now with the present administration.
No,
and you rated him.
When you compare two things at any given point in time, one has to be better. You cannot compare one thing, okay? You can compare A and B. A turns out to be better. Then by the time you compare A and C, C may turn out to be better than A. So Obasanjo, yes, he has. I don't agree with that gentleman that he can force it. If that is
no, he didn't say force. Say he has the right to tell Nigerians
who
to vote.
Agreed. He has the right to tell Nigerians who to vote for, but cannot tell us that we are stupid for having an opinion different from his own.
All right. We are going to go on a very short break. When we come back, our phone lines will be open. Remember, the phone line is 091-682-84994. I'll take it again, 091-682-84994. When we come back, you will be free to call, make your contributions, tell us your name and where you're calling from. And you can either make a contribution or ask your question. And when we come back, we are going to look into the Soludo's matter with Peter B. in Anambra State. Stay tuned and don't get away. We'll be back shortly.
Allow me to enjoy myself. I love you.
Have you heard that Living Television, the latest satellite station on SatView channel, is received all over Nigeria and Africa? You can watch Living Television on every free-to-air HD decoder, including Strong HD and CSAT HD. Why keep paying for monthly subscriptions when you can have fun for free? With Living Television, you can watch lots of wrestling, football, documentaries, and Nigerian films, including discussions and debates on current Nigeria issues. Watch free live matches on La Liga Spain cum Serie A, Italy cum Bundesliga, German League 1, and French matches on over 80 premium channels. Wow! You can also sponsor your programs such as live church services and crusades, political rallies, burial and wedding ceremonies, promotional interviews, announcements, advertisements, documentaries, and commercials. We are situated at number 1 Judges Street off Ikorebane Road, Aba, Abia State. For further enquiries, call 0805 367 3900. Signed, Management.
I love you.
And so you can keep on watching Living TV. I can say in pidgin English, Living TV, Nade Kampe.
Wonderful viewers, I'm glad you're there. You're still watching Living Television and your favorite program, Nigeria Today, where we bring before you the happenings or the happenstances in our country, Nigeria. Right now, we are going to look at the 2023 presidency. Soludo ordered that Obi's billboard in Anambra be pulled down, that as alleged by the Labour Party. With the race of the presidency now in full swing across the states of Nigeria, a Labour Party chieftain has accused Anambra Governor Professor Charles Soludo of ordering the removal of a campaign billboard of his predecessor, Peter Gregory Obi, in the state, barely hours after they were erected. I want us to start from there. Peter Obi, even if he had failed, yes, Peter Obi, even if he had failed to pay, if they pay advert rates and so on as it is in this state here, and having served that state, well, someone will say meritoriously and stuff like that. Let me start with you, Council. Is it proper for Obi, though it's alleged, is it proper for the governor, the incumbent governor, to pull down his billboards?
Well, right here in the studio, I cannot confirm whether that particular statement is true or not. Having laid that foundation, let us now proceed on the premise and assumption that it is true, just for purposes of discussing the subject. If it is true that that is what the Anambra State government has done, then that is most unfortunate. However, we would also need to hear from the Anambra State government whether the conditions precedent to erecting those billboards were met. And if they were not met, what the sanctions allowed by law are. Furthermore, is the justice in this case selective? Is it being meted out to only the Labour Party presidential candidate or all candidates? So these are things that we need to actually ascertain before we make good progress on the subject matter. We need to hear from both sides. Because if the state government has imposed levies or equally prohibited erecting billboards at certain places, and then in violation of regulation, those billboards were erected there, or in violation of the requirement to pay, they were now erected, then the state government is within its right to do so. If these are not the cases involved, then it is discriminatory. And that is what our constitution frowns against. You cannot discriminate against any person on any circumstances whatsoever. It is a case where properly the presidential candidate of the Labour Party can now approach the High Court in that state and request to enforce his fundamental rights against discrimination.
All right. Remember the phone lines are 0916828494. You can call in, make your contributions, tell us where you're calling us from, and your name. Okay, having said that, a publication by the Tribune quotes the party chieftain as saying that Soludo ordered the removal of the billboards because he was not pleased with the fact that they were erected at strategic locations in the state. Comrade. Yes, you know, similar thing happened in Niger State. The flag bearer of ABGA in the state, in the name of Ahamdi, Honorable Ahamdi Weke, Chief Barrister Ahamdi Weke, you know, his billboard was somehow pulled down, and I think he approached the court. He was here in one of those days, and he also mentioned that. And then he said,
who pulled down where?
You know, Maya, yes, his billboard. Yes. Ahamdi Weke, we are contesting for senatorial.
Okay, you get the impression he was contesting for governorship.
No,
sorry. In the state.
Yes, I think
he's a BOT member of the ABGA and
yes.
Contesting for Senate.
I think let me say this way. I think I listened to Soludo's interview concerning this.
Okay.
Yes. He said he was not the person who did that it came from the signage authorities. And having said that, he also tried to say, I'm now saying, I'm putting him his own interview. He said that Peter Obi was campaigning in Anambra State twice. He gave him government facilities free of charge. And I wouldn't know why the word free of charge would be there. Is it a stadium? Is it an open arena that we are talking about? He said for that reason he was supposed to have an outing there at that very venue. He had to bring in his guests and those who were supposed to be in that outing, you know, to government house. They used a canopy and then had their own outing and activity, while P2P enjoyed the space. But you see, there is a level of commandeering to be seen in some of these things. The state governors, they are usually in the habit of doing this. We all remember that Wike, just for this very purpose, passed an executive order. Because he issued an executive order to stop erection of billboards in certain places in River State.
Of his own party.
Of his own party. Yes, even when it undermines the chances of his own party. Yes, we all understand the tussle and the loggerhead they are having within the party. Now, coming back to Machas, he's been having issues with Peter Obi. The other day he's come out to tell us how the investment Peter Obi made in Anambra State has dwindled, how they don't amount to anything. Yes, how they amount to nothing and all that. Now, the question now becomes, the question now becomes what good or what more does it vetted that because all through the interview he was talking about how he was so charitable to allow Obi to use the facility. We are talking about facility that does not belong to Soludo but belongs to the government of Anambra State, built with taxpayers' money. You understand? It is wrong, and let me say it here, for governors across the 36 states to shut the stadium, you understand, or to close the stadium, or to bar other political aspirants, or even opposition from accessing public places, you understand, like stadiums, like arena, and what have you. Let me say this, it's my personal opinion. In Abia State, I do not know how, I saw that, and I do not know whether others actually saw it. The campaign poster of one of the governorship aspirants is at the tower. It's at the tower. Now, if it were to be some other aspirant, will they allow it to be there? The aspect, I don't know who put it there, whether it was the campaign team or volunteers or tower, you know my tower. So,
and that it's not of PDP. The one you're talking about is not of PDP.
I said one of the governorship candidates, if you go there, you see it. His campaign poster is there at the tower. You understand what I'm saying now? Not one, not even two.
Okay.
So the question now becomes if it were certain candidates, maybe he's liberal, yes. If it were certain candidates we they allow that to happen. Now bring it back to even at the fact I have seen a campaign where Buhari was coming to Aba in 2015. He couldn't access Enyimba Stadium here. He went to Echie Road Field. So so the question becomes, why would this happen? So what is happening is not only relative or only peculiar to this environment here. It happens everywhere. But then I think it is high time the Ohanese Igbo and other stakeholders, you understand, went into the issue of Soludo and Peter Obi. If there is any issue, they should actually trash it out, because what is happening now, you understand? If you go to Lagos State, I'm sorry I'm saying this, if you go to Lagos State, you see the billboards of Tinubu everywhere. You go to the north, Atiku is everywhere. So I'm not saying campaigns should be regional or should have regional coloration. What I'm saying is that people starting should begin at home. Sure. So it's quite unfortunate. So I do not know the motive behind that. He's talked about the signage authorities, but then I am asking the campaign team of Peter Obi to look, you understand, at the whole thing and see whether it is actionable. And I want to thank council for making that clarification. If you feel it is discriminated or exclusionary, you approach the court.
Yes, somebody did that in Abia State, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, council. It is obvious also when they won at Unizik temporary side junction along the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway on Saturday, it was removed, one of the biggest.
Allegedly, sir.
Yes. No, the board was removed, but the alleges
allegedly by the state government.
You confirmed that it was removed.
It was removed.
It was removed.
It was removed. It was removed.
It was removed.
Okay.
The board they allege is as a result of who ordered the removal.
Yeah.
So now it was removed, and also they are also saying the advert which was placed on the APCON registered advertising agency indicates that they paid for it.
Yes.
For that fact that it was fully paid for. Now, it is also alleged that Soludo said that he does not want Labour Party advert on the Anambra Senate Agency, and he asked the Anambra Senate Agency to refund whatever amount that was paid, as alleged.
Okay. Not speaking in defense of the state, Anambra State government.
Okay.
There are different considerations here. One, payment, proper payment. Two, is also to now place properly. In most states, placement of billboards is a function of town planning. And that is the agency ordinarily that would determine that, because it's a function of land use actually. This particular spot is okay, it's not okay,
yes,
and so on and so forth. The fact that you see it as open space does not mean that it is permissible there. Somebody can, in the office, collect money to erect and issue approval to erect a billboard. And if subsequently it is discovered that the site is not one that should harbor such, it will be countermanded. When I was Honorable Commissioner for Urban Renewal in Abia State, we had something, it wasn't political, but I'll say something close. Now, a particular agency under my ministry collected money to allow a brewery company to use the tower in Umuahia, the one at Bendy Road, the old tower, yes, to display a bottle of drink of their product, and it was alcoholic. I didn't even get to know about it until I was summoned by the House of Assembly, and they were not happy. They said, look, that is the ancient tower of the state, and for a visitor, the impression is that in Abia we are drunks.
We are gone.
Yeah, even though they paid good money for it then, but the House quickly asked me to refund that money. I went there straight from the house. I went straight to the place. I saw it, and of course my view agreed with that of the house. I didn't like it, no matter the money that they had paid. So we had to call the company, and we refunded them that money. So if approval had been given, even in error, and subsequently it is discovered that that particular billboard, the placement is wrong, it would be countermanded. The proper thing actually is to ask the people, come and remove your billboard, not just to go in and bulldoze it. That gives the impression of vendetta or some other ulterior motive. And refund their money to them. Also come up with the clarification. Explain to the public. So I think the government equally owes the Anambra State people an explanation as to why those billboards were removed. Otherwise, I would still say that it is brazen, it is improper, and the parties affected have the right to approach the court for redress.
All right, comrade, you said you listened to me and you had me talk about, Soludo talk about this removal. And then in asking them to refund the Labour Party their money for that billboard, did he ever mention that where the erection was in a very bad place?
I know this very place because I had my further studies in Oka. I know this, but I'm seeing it now in my mind's eye. You see, I know that place to be a place where there are signposts, as in there are usually advertisements along that Aroma Unizik Junction Road. You usually see. So likely P2B's billboard may not be the only one. I'm talking from my personal experience now. Okay. It is the place I know. You understand? Now the question becomes: was there any? You understand? Was there any explanation that may come in the form of memo? Because that's how
even press release.
Yes, or even a press statement. That's how a government clarifies its stance in any policy option it has taken. I want to thank council for even bringing it to as down as the land use. Understand? Now we know that the land belongs to the state government by the Land Use Act. The land belongs to the state unless there is to be a naturally occurring resource. That's when the federal government comes in. But be that as it may, I do not know what Soludo, you understand, is looking to achieve with that. Because I know, and I'm saying it here, it's my personal opinion, that if the billboard was there along the Unizik, the place they call them site, I can say it from now until kingdom come, that there are likely to be other advertisements there. Because I know the place. You understand? And it doesn't have only one signboard. But then, if it was done, and not only the one of Labour Party was actually removed, we may not know, as people who are not in government, what that place is, whether by the law or by the town planning or by the laws, whether it is actually right for advertisements like such to be placed there. But then only Soludo, only him knows whether this is all about. Yes, mind you, there is a law that criminalizes vandalizing campaign materials, billboards, posters, even defacing them. If you are caught, it's a crime. So I don't know.
And there are also other laws empowering government to remove structures that obstruct
the plan.
What you might call illegal structures.
Illegal structures. Yes.
Okay, Council. It's not just about the one we talked about. He also ordered the removal of the Labour Party advert at the Afo Nnobi gantry. This advert had been there since October 2022 and was paid for 5 months at a stretch. And the governor was alleged to have asked them equally to remove it, as quoted by the party.
Yes. You know that the gantry towers are ordinarily used for advert purposes. And the fact that the billboard has been there, the signage has been there since, is indicative of the fact that, yes, it was put to good use.
Yes.
For Governor Soludo to now come in and start ordering removal of things like that, there is absolutely, let's stop pretending for a moment, gentlemen. By conduct or even by his utterances, Soludo has demonstrated his lack of tolerance for Peter Obi's candidacy. There's no doubt about that. especially when he came out to say, look, all this noise you people are making, that about Obi did this, Obi did that, those days are worthless. I mean, trying to rubbish whatever modest achievements that Peter Obi had made. One would even think that, since, to the best of my knowledge, APGA, they don't have a presidential candidate.
They have.
They have.
Thank God for enlightening me. Now, I wasn't
They
even
have. They have.
He saw also among the prophets.
Yes. He sees you among the prophets.
So, okay. But the mere fact that Obi is one of his predecessors in office, he should have been liberal towards whatever concerns. If personally, my own disposition would be, if I'm the governor of Anambra State, even if I have another candidate, but if Obi is to fail, it should never be traced back to me as a person.
Yes, I think
some of these fights that Soludo is picking, because it's always Soludo doing the picking of the fight. Yes. Some of these fights are most unnecessary. Yes. There are things he could even liberalize, and since this man is his predecessor in office, allow him. He's also a son of that state. Why not give him all the support that you can?
See,
Peter Obi is not from my political party.
Yeah.
So I'm not defending saying it because we are from the same party. No, but I think Soludo ought to tread more cautious.
Soludo was actually
why you are talking, because we'll be rounding up now, why you are talking to say we continue from where council stopped. We also remember that in the state here, Abia State, the billboard of the YPP, Accord Party, and almost all the contestants at various strategic places in the state.
Yes.
And nobody is touching them.
And nobody is touching them.
Nobody is defacing anything.
And that was why I said,
that's
why I said, even though I wasn't happy with the idea of placing poster or billboard or banner or whatever at the tower, but if you look at how these billboards are spread across the state, you see that the state is tolerant. Yeah. Even though the governor had jokingly perhaps said, my flyover, don't come to place your posters.
Place your posters where you use.
Yeah, go and build your own flyover and place your posters. I understand.
I think he was just making fun of that.
Yes, he was just trying to make light of it. He was just trying to. Yes, he was just trying to make light of it because there was a wave of criticism that trailed the flyover building, the duration and what the governor had said.
We are all happy and proud.
Today we are happy. Yes. And some persons
we are enjoying the flyover.
Some days a night, you look as if you are in Dubai.
Yes,
some persons have
drive at night. I wasn't going to anywhere just to
some persons have agreed that
flyover at night.
Some persons have agreed that even though it is one flyover, that it is more formidable than the ones built in some city. Now that's by the way. Now you see in the interview,
the first flyover, it's on record. It's on record. It's on record. Nobody can change that record.
The interview, Soludo right there. He also alleges or tried to establish that Peter Obi stopped other political parties from using government utilities or government facilities for the purpose of campaign. He even said that Peter Obi stopped even Labour Party from accessing some of these grants.
So it's now vendetta.
Yes, I was coming to that now. So you even took it from me. I was coming to that now. If you look at it, you understand there is what you call subtext or perhaps what is subliminal in the message. What was that? Perhaps it is my time to do what to get back. Yes, it is my turn to act. But the question should be, you see, the question should be that Soludo has other challenges. He has bigger challenges, bigger worries than the campaign. One, Anambra State has off-cycle election. Anambra State does not have any governorship election or anything except the presidential election, the House of Assembly election, and the federal or the National Assembly election. So Anambra State, he himself, his position is not under threat. He's not competing. He's barely a year in office. So he should focus on insecurity in the state, economic decline, other challenges the state is facing. You understand? Address this thing. Insecurity is not letting up. It is piling up by the day. And we are seeing people, non-state actors, control territories in the state. He should work in tandem with the federal government and do the needful to rescue the state than engage in this cheap witch hunt, which may even derail his own project and make him more popular at the end of the day. Let me say it this way. You see, the Obi movement is a phenomenon. I'm not here to establish anything, but it is the fact. Even the presidency had actually acknowledged. Keyamo the other day said they never saw Obi coming. I'm putting they never saw Obi coming. He said it. Now, anybody who tries to stand in the way of popular opinion may actually become a public enemy. So Soludo should be careful of this narrative. He has like 3 or more years to do the work for which he is elected. He should focus on that. So far, he's trying to build infrastructure. Let him do the needful. Peter Obi has done his own bit. Let him do his own bit and go. I'm talking about this thing. I don't know where this thing even started from.
All right. Council, like I said earlier, shortly before we call it a quit today, like I said earlier, you should drive around Abia State, you see billboards at strategic places, just like the one Comrade mentioned, even at the tower, and even one very close to the governor's lodge. And
yes.
So on. And yet, the governor of Abia State
has not come out to say,
because of his, well, I think, I don't think I make a mistake if I say he's the most educated amongst the governors within here now. Okay, Soludo is a professor.
Soludo is a professor of
and himself is a PhD holder. Anyway, a professional laureate is an award. You know, it's not you can.
Yes,
after all, Wallace Oyenka had a first degree and became a professor.
You see, PhD is just the highest level.
It's the highest academic level.
But the professional thing is that you made research.
It's an award, yeah. So looking at it, let's use a council. I'm talking to you. Let's use Abia State. Let's use Abia State as a yardstick, and then compare to what Soludo is doing, and then to his own brother. And then look at it, and then they were, because even as we speak now, almost all the contestants in Abia State are from this part of Abia, are from the Okwangwa areas.
Almost all the contestants.
The governorship contestants in
good number
Abia State.
A good number of them too are from the other divide. A good number of them too comes from the other divide.
Well,
you have Gregory and the rest of them.
I know the YPP, I know the Accord. I know.
Let's go by the candidates. I don't know.
So the fact
Accord is Bishop Emeka Wamba.
Okay.
And then YPP is Nana Wafu.
Okay. There is also Bishop, I think, this
yes, one Bishop, of Methodist Church.
There's also a lady.
There is also a lady from SDP. From a lady from SDP.
Then you also have Alex also from there.
You have.
So
Alex only from where?
You also have the APC.
I've said it here several
times. The APC man, Ike. And then also Uchoga is also Uchoga.
You have Uchoga, you have Ike.
Both of them are also from there. So you have more.
You see that. Now you see that even if you go to Abba Stadium, I'm saying it, and it has to also be on record. You will see virtually the posters of all the aspirants.
That's exactly what I'm talking
even
about.
Those
all these contestants,
even those running for House of Assembly.
And the state government is not disturbing
any
person. Look at where the governor lives in Aba, his lodge. Just before you turn and start
big one
of the YPP, not only one, very big, as if to say, let us see how this man will react.
Yes.
And the governor, in his wisdom, has just allowed the wheat and the tares, like the Bible said, to grow together. During the harvest, of course, the wheat will be.
You know that the governor has a stake in this election than does Soludo, and I'll prove. He is running for Senate. His party has a candidate in the Dubai election. Soludo is not running for Senate. His party doesn't have any interest for governorship election. So why?
You see, I'm talking about that. I think the man is just naturally a good person and very tolerant.
That's the governor of Abia State.
I want to give him that credit.
Yes.
Because we've been in this state for long. We've been in this state for long. We know so many other governors who are no more governors today, who will never allow what is happening today.
What did I say? I said that Buhari was not allowed access. Now listen, I said that
when the headquarters of Abia State was in GRA.
I said in 2015, Muhammadu Buhari, then running under the platform of the APC, could not access Abba Stadium.
Yes, we said so many governors.
Yes.
Zigbaz is quite different from them. And
in this aspect,
I think we are also asking Soludo also to looking
let him face governance.
Let him face governance. And insecurity in Anambra State.
Which is about the highest in South East.
And the man is allegedly executing or actually tackled the security and won award from the IG there.
The man he is tackling, that's P2B, doesn't even seem to notice that Soludo is tackling him.
All right, our wonderful viewers and great Nigerians, thank you for being there. And I'm sure you're going to keep watching Living TV. All other programs will be coming forth even after now. And from my far left again, as usual today, is Barrister Chukwuemeka Nwogu. Barrister Chukwuemeka Nwogu, we're happy to have had you today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, moderator, and goodbye, viewers.
And comrade Nnamdi Elekwachi, we're very, very grateful that we're here today. Thank you.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine. Goodbye, viewers.
And our wonderful viewers, keep watching Living TV. This is your anchor man, Chinedum Adiele. We'll be right back.
Allow me to enjoy myself. I love you.
Have you heard that Living Television, the latest satellite station on SatView channel, is received all over Nigeria and Africa? You can watch Living Television on every free-to-air HD decoder, including Strong HD and CSAT HD. Why keep paying for monthly subscriptions when you can have fun for free? With Living Television, you can watch lots of wrestling, football, documentaries, and Nigerian films, including discussions and debates on current Nigeria issues. Watch free live matches on La Liga Spain come Serie A, Italy come Bundesliga, German League 1, and French matches on over 80 premium channels. Wow! You can also sponsor your programs such as live church services and crusades, political rallies, burial and wedding ceremonies, promotional interviews, announcements, advertisements, documentaries, and commercials. We are situated at number 1 Jeji Street off Ikorebane Road, Aba, Abia State. For further enquiries, call 0805 367 3900. Signed, Management.
I love you.
And so you can keep on watching Living TV. I can say in Pidgin English, Living TV, Nade Kampe.